With the impending doom of the AI takeover, you might as well join the dark side and make use of these 6 insanely powerful and potentially controversial AI tools to level up your music production in 2024. Now, in all seriousness, I would love to know what you think about this topic in the comments down below. I personally don't think that AI is going to be taking over everyone's jobs in the music industry just yet, but it's definitely here to stay and it's going to be making an impact on how we work. So there's a couple of plugins on this list that are game changing, and I'm going to dive in now and look at one of the more controversial plugins. So this first VST is a drum kit with a huge AI twist. Essentially what it's capable of doing is taking your one-shot drum samples and basically copying them, maybe adding some variants in there as well, but from the ground up recreating the same sound in its AI algorithm. But it can be a great tool for producers because essentially what you can do is take sounds that you like within your track, make slight variants of them like the snare and the kick, and have a more varied track, but keeping a sort of consistency throughout. So this is the VST. It's Emergent Drums 2 by Audiolab, and it's got this sort of stock kit loaded up already. You can see there's a lot of things you can tweak and change. So you've got your basic settings here, like your attack, your release. You can add some gain, filterings. You've got an option to fine tune the panning and also fine tune the actual tuning of the sample. And then of course onto the AI features. So you've got a couple of settings to tweak for the AI features. You've got this creamy or crunchy algorithm, and you've got this random slider here. So you can go from as similar as it can get to a more random version of the initial input. So if I take a sound like this snare, I'm going to copy it onto here and we'll see how well it can recreate it. So we'll go as similar as possible. You can change it to mono or stereo. We'll keep it as mono and we will generate a sample. So this is from the ground up a new sample, and they've essentially recreated this sound. Now obviously it's going to be great at these sounds, at the stock sounds that they put in, but let's see how good it is at replicating sounds that are a little bit more organic and a little bit more difficult to copy. So I've got this sound, a little bit more percussive and organic, and we'll see how well it can replicate it. So this is the before, this is the after. Doesn't sound that close, but I've noticed with these samples, it generates a lot more sort of higher frequency sounds if you've got quite a muffled, muted sound at the input. So before, if we start to cut some of the highs, it starts to get a little bit more similar. It's definitely got a similar vibe to it anyway, but these are the more interesting and difficult sounds to replicate from what I've tested. That's Emergent Drums. Now onto the next tool. So this next tool is one that I initially picked up to use in my video productions to take my audio from sounding a bit like this to sounding more like this. So essentially it uses an AI algorithm to clean up audio, but it's got some great sound design potential as well. So this is the plugin. It's called Clear by Supertone. It's got a minimal interface and a lot of great functionality. So you've got the voice, the ambience, and the voice verb, each of which you can solo, mute, or adjust the volumes as well as inverting. You've got the stereo to mono toggle as well as an eco mode to reduce CPU usage. Now, obviously, if you're working with vocals, it's going to do a great job of cleaning them up. You can throw in the dirtiest Taylor Swift a cappella, and then you can instantly reduce the ambience, reduce the verb, increase the voice. You can solo different areas. And essentially, if you're working with vocals, it's just going to be a great and easy tool to clean them up. And it's also great for plugins like Arcade, where you get these intrinsically wet samples that you can now essentially clean up and get a really dry version of it. So for stuff like this, it's great for just cleaning up the audio, getting a dry signal, and then adding your own processes and effects. So it's a super easy to use tool, and it's a great one to have in your arsenal. So on to the next set of tools. So next up, I've got 2 AI-powered tools, one of which is completely free, both from this week's sponsor, DistroKid. So for those of you who don't know, DistroKid is a distribution service that takes your tracks and uploads them to sites like Spotify, Tidal, Deezer, and the long list of other more obscure streaming services. I've been using them for a long time and can personally vouch for the distribution service that they offer, and they've also got a great array of amazing tools for producers and artists. So the first one is an AI-powered mastering tool called Mixia. And obviously it's not going to take the place of mastering engineers, or if you're experienced at mastering yourself, it's probably not going to be for you. However, if you're a hobbyist or you're new to production, or you're just not happy with your masters at the minute, it's well worth having a go. So if you follow the link in the description down below and go over to Mixia or DistroKid, you can upload your mix. So I'll drop in a track that's unmixed. You'll upload and process the file, and a few minutes later, you'll get this screen. So this is my original track, obviously not ready for distribution, and too quiet for streaming services. So you'd never want to distribute a track like this. Now I'll adjust the level so it doesn't blow your head off and go over to the mastered version, and this is what it sounds like. So now it's perfectly ready for distribution services like Spotify and Apple, and you've got a few things that you can tweak as well. So you're going to tweak the intensity, go for a sort of less compressed master, or go the other way around and increase it and reduce the dynamics. So that could be great for more electronic music. You can also adjust how bright it is or how warm it is. So it's $99 for unlimited masters for the year, but everyone gets one free master, and you can also upload as many tracks as you want to sort of hear how they would sound through the engine. So it could be well worth doing if you're not happy with the master. Maybe try it in this and see if it sounds a bit better. And if you want to try out DistroKid, you can use my link in the description down below to get 7% off your first year. It's a great distributor, would highly recommend checking them out. And they also have a second AI-powered tool that is completely free for anyone to use. This one is called DistroPick, and it's an AI-powered picture generation tool similar to Midjourney, but this one is free. So this is an example that I put in. You can see the prompt I used there, and this is the result. So it's actually quite a nice picture that I could definitely use for a track distribution. You can see on the right here some ideas that other people have made as well, and these look really cool. So you can always click in and see what prompts they used and try and create something similar yourself, and scroll down and see what else is going on. There's definitely going to be some rogue ones in there as well. Not sure what that's about, but there you go. So yeah, potentially if you need some artwork, definitely check it out. Free to use, and you can get some easy artwork for your tracks. But anyway, next up onto a fantastic AI-powered reverb. So I was recently recommended this plugin. It's around $30, and it's an AI-powered reverb. So I've got my guitar going DI here into the Mateus Asato amp simulation plugin. It's a really good plugin, by the way. I made a video about it a few weeks ago if you want to check it out here. Great amp simulation for guitar players, and also works well on loads of other instruments. And this is the AI Reverb plugin we're going to use. It's called PureVerb by Sonable, and what we're going to do is go and click our input, which is guitar, hit record, and then get some input for the plugin to analyze. You can see it's analysed the sound, essentially carved out the reverb to match the sound, and it's picked some settings here. So it's gone 0 synthetic, size 48, and 30 on the mix. So you can see it's a super clean reverb. It's really balanced. It's got a nice natural organic sound, and that's out the box just analysing the sample. So it can really save you a lot of time in a big mix down. So you've got the options here to increase the size. For a huge reverb, you can go and increase the mix as well. And you've got the synthetic option, which at 0 is a more sort of organic, natural, real reverb sound, and at 100 it's just trying to replicate sort of digital reverb sounds. So I'm going to keep it to 0, make it a little bit smaller, keep the mix fairly high so you can hear it. And this is in normal mode, so there's a few other really cool sound design features as well. So next you've got infinite mode, which is a infinite sustain reverb. This is a little bit too much there, but if you knock that down, it can make a really nice sort of background pedal. So that's potentially a really cool one to have. You got reverse mode, which I've used it in a few tracks already. It's a very cool feature. And finally, you got this bounce mode, which is sort of like granular, reflective reverb. For now, onto potentially another controversial one, but maybe the most unique and interesting one on the list. So this next one is possibly one of the most unique on the list, and it's a bit of a game changer in my opinion. So this is a synth engine that uses, similar to Emergent Drums, AI to replicate sound, but this time you can take one-shot melodic sounds and essentially recreate a synth patch based on that one sound. So in a lot of sample packs, like in my Chill Drum sample pack, we release one-shot synth sounds or one-shot melodic samples in there as well, because what you can do is throw them in a sort of sample player. However, this takes it one step further and completely recreates the sound that you put in with insane accuracy. So this is Synth Plant 2, and they've got a very generous 3-week trial period. So let's see how it works. Essentially, I can take a sound from my sample pack, like this one, drop it in the VST, and this is what the sample sounds like. Now I can press this button here, and it's going to generate replications of that sound. in these different sort of branches as they try to get as close to the sound as possible using FM synthesis. So that's pretty damn close, and it can keep going till it finds almost a perfect match. And you can go through these other branches as well and explore different ways to get to that same sound. But we're going to go for this sound at the minute, because that's very close. It's crazy. Close this down, and now I have the sound in the synth engine. But also I wonder how well it sounds with a more acoustic sample. So I've dropped a felt piano in there, and you can also adjust the area which it's sort of analysing if you want to. And we're going to see how well it can replicate that. Oh, that sounded pretty close. Wow, it's crazy how well it can do it. Maybe a more textured sound would be a bit more difficult, but that is wild. So that is the felt sound. Such an interesting texture and character. Wow, yeah, really, really nice. So it's the first time I tried that one. It sounds fantastic. So finally onto a tool that revolutionized my mastering process for the first time in years. A little while ago I made a video breaking down my master bus and all the effects and processes that I use, which I'll link here and then in the description if you want to check it out. And essentially nothing's changed from that until recently when I picked up this insane AI powered limiter. So this is a plugin called Smart Limit, which is again by Sonable, and it's got some great features that set it apart from the rest of the limiters that I've tried. So you've got a few things built in here first to input exactly what sound you're going for. You can drop this down here and pick exactly which streaming site or broadcast that you want to master for. So in this case, we'll go for Spotify. And then you can pick the genre that you want to master for. Again, we'll go a hip hop track here, but you can also put in your own reference track if that's what you want to do. And then we'll play the demo, which is again, Dusty Reels. And I'll hit listen here, and it's going to analyze the track and make sure we're getting the sort of average loudness that Spotify wants. And we're not peaking too loud for Spotify either. So it's probably going to drop 1 dB down on the limit there. Yeah, so there we go, a 6 dB gain, dropping down 1 dB on the limit, making sure we're getting the perfect volume levels for Spotify. You've also got some great controls at the bottom here to adjust the style of the limiting as well. So you can change how soft or hard the limiting style is. You can add some more saturation. And you can also monitor the distortion via this distortion monitoring graph as well. It's not always easy to hear, so this is a great feature to have. You can tame some of the resonance with this balance control. And you've also got a bass control as well. Plus a great little feature as well is this quality check, just to make sure that you're hitting the right levels that you need for whatever your input is. So this is another one that's well worth checking out. There's some extra features in there as well that you can dive into. And overall, I just love how easy it is to use and how great it sounds. But that is it for my list. Are there any AI plugins that you're using that I didn't mention? Would love to check them out, so do let me know in the comments down below. And what do you think overall of AI and the music industry? Is it something you're worried about, or is it a welcome change to improve your workflow? Would love to know what people think in the comments down below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time.